Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon, and that means that it's time for our skills broadcast. For those of you who are new to the program, so you understand, we're a group of people who get together to try and cope better with whatever's going on in our lives. And this has been an extended family for a lot of people, and we help them through good times and through bad. So if you are in need of an extended family to help you cope with the present crisis, please feel free to join in. And by the way, for those of you who are regular viewers, please remember to recommend us to any of your friends that might be struggling a bit at this time. I know this is a particularly difficult time for people, and that is why what we do is really, really important. Hello, Jody, and happy birthday, honey. I know that I've wished you that in a couple of ways already, but one more time is not going to hurt at all. All right, so now then, I was so busy getting set up, I forgot something. Just hold on one second. This is insane. I can't believe I didn't get this out earlier. Never mind, I didn't. So let me just try and put this here. And I just want to get the notes up for today. Come on. There we go. That's what I need. All right, so come on. There we go. All right, so I'm hoping that you've all had an interest. One of the things, of course, that I'm pretty sure you guys are beginning to feel is what it's like to deal with less. And, you know, there was part of me that wanted to make sure that the first thing we talk about is about be aware of scams. I really wanted to make sure that we talk about this every week. And the scam of the week that was passed to me was this one. So if you get this one, just ignore it. Hello, my name is Agent David P. Abney. I'm glad to inform you that you are one of the winners to claim the sum of $50,000 from the Department of Health and Human Services to help people across the world meet their needs in order to reduce their stress of the COVID-19, the coronavirus. Can you provide us with your name and claim your winnings now? Hi, Jeannie. All right, so you get anything that asks you to give them your name or your bank information, anything like that at all, please ignore it. If you think it comes from the Department of Health and Human Services or whatever it is in your country, phone them and find out if they're sending out something like that. There's a really good reason for that, and that is because not only are you not responding, but also you're warning the Department of Health and Human Resources that scam is going on, which is a really important thing. So we've got an interesting, I hope, program for you today. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about, obviously, is helping you cope, which is what we do here. But also, I've got some things that I thought we might discuss. And one of the ways that you can save a lot of money and do with less is to make your own. And another way that you can save a lot of money and cope better is to refill things. Obviously, you all know about the fact that I'm busy regrowing my store-bought vegetables. And Jody, I know that this is your birthday present, and this is what the onion did when I stuck it in some earth. I thought I'd show you that. Isn't that amazing? Just literally put it in some earth. And the other thing is to get really creative about how you use your food. And so we're going to be talking about all those sort of things today, and hopefully that will help you cope a little bit better. So we're going to be talking about doing less with less, coping with less money, less food, less entertainment, and less social interaction. How many of you are actually quite, if you were perfectly honest with yourself, quite enjoying the quiet? How many of you feel that? When I say quite enjoying the quiet, I mean, I cannot believe how quiet it is in the neighborhood where I live. You know, it's just like if a car goes by, it's quite an exciting thing now. If somebody walks up, you know, the community area here, you know, with a dog, it's you know, entertainment for me. So to me, it's like, it is interesting to see. And by the way, one of the sons of the woman that used to live in this house came to visit yesterday, and we kept social distance by a long way. We probably had at least 10 feet between us, but it was just so nice. And it made me realize, you know, we sort of can visit one another. And, you know, we stayed outside, so that worked. And it was just so cute. You know, I was giving virtual hugs like this, and you know, it's possible to do, and it really, you know, made my day to have a visitor. So I thought that was really nice. For those of you who are new, make sure that you subscribe if you like getting tips and things on how to cope, and also if you could do with an extended family at this time. And also click on the bell, because that will advise you when we are going to do broadcasts and what they're going to be about. All right, so let's move on here. The first thing I want to talk about is how to cope with less money. Have any of you noticed that everything is beginning to cost more? All right. Judy's saying, I love being around people, but I'm organizing files, doing plenty of laundry, making phone calls. Yeah, there are lots of ways to cope with this. I am actually busier now than I was before the lockdown. I've got to be quite honest. I am making sure that my days are totally filled. Oh, Jody always tells me this, and I forget it. Jody's reminding me to say, please enable all notifications when you click on the bell. She'll tell me why. Because for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yes, exactly. Isabel's also wishing Jody a happy birthday. Yeah, and she does a wonderful job. All right, so ways to cope with less money. Have any of you noticed already that the prices are beginning to go up? And the reason the prices are beginning to go up, because there is a shortage. Therefore, companies can charge more because people will be prepared to pay more, even though they may be trying to deal with less money. I mean, I know that's horrific, but it's the way that the world works. It's called supply and demand. If there aren't very many of them, you can put the price up. So what I want you all to do is to be aware that this is what it is, and it will continue and get worse. Two things are going to happen. We're going to have less money, and things are going to be more expensive. How many can understand that that is going to be pretty harmful for a lot of us? You know, I was even talking to Erin yesterday, and one of the things I said to Erin was, be very careful with your money right now. She was about to sign up for some course. And I said, look, if it makes you happy, then go ahead. But think about some things. Think about the fact that whatever money you have now, you may need every cent of it. Whatever benefits you're getting right now, if you thought it was hard to balance those dollars before, it's going to be even more difficult in the future. And the reason is because the prices are going to go up. For example, Erin is in care, and her food and everything is supplied by the home where she lives. But the thing is this, that they will probably start charging more just to feed her. Why? Because the price of food is about to jump very seriously. And so what I said to her is, before you put a whole lot of money into doing a course, think about it. Have you got enough money where if the price of your basic care went up 25%, could you cover it? And that's what I wanted her to think about, because I was pretty sure, and I have to say this to people, that your benefits are not going to go up 25%. So, think about this. It could happen. And I'm not saying don't take a course. Go right ahead. If you've got enough room to juggle those balls, you go right ahead and take a course. It would be a great way to utilize your time if you have the money. Jody found a little bit of information, and she said that unemployment insurance benefits have been expanded in both the US and Canada, just so that you know. In some cases, it may be possible for even part-time and self-employed people to collect benefits. So for those of you who were working, easy for me to say, for those of you who were working, it's difficult, but no longer are, understand you may be entitled to benefits. Jeannie's saying, my mom taught me to have enough in cupboards, freezer to live a while on those. And we have been doing that. Yes, absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about that. For any of you who would like me to, I do have what I call the basic list that you may want to think about. If anybody wants that, I will gladly sort of read through it. And what I'm doing is I keep adding to it as I think of things that we need. What I want you to think about is, when you shop, regardless of what you can get hold of today, when you shop, think dry goods and canned goods as well, because they will help you. Hi, Sandy, good to see you. All right, so the other thing is, many utility companies and cell phone providers, people like that, have agreed not to disconnect services due to financial stress, which I think is very good, right? But you do need to contact them. You don't need to just assume that your provider is going to do that for you, because maybe not all of them will. And, you need to phone and find out whether they've got that sort of protection plan. However, this doesn't mean that you won't owe them any money. It just means you'll be paying them a lot more afterwards. So just think about that. Even if you can pay some of it, do. Jody's also saying that you can defer credit card payments. She was offered up to 2 months of $0 payment. So that's another thing. If you haven't done so already and you have the ability to do so, zero out your credit card. The reason I say that is because as inflation goes, you're going to find that things like credit card debt is going to go up, and therefore the interest on a credit card is going to go up as well. So just be aware of that. And it's not anything other than normal, I'm afraid to say. The other thing I would like to suggest to you all is take a cold, hard look at what I call death by $10 a month. We get into the thing about, I'll subscribe to that. It's only $10 a month. It starts adding up. Have any of you noticed that it's $10 here, $10 here, 10 and 20 here, but maybe 25 here. And the next thing you know, that's $200 a month that you're spending on things that maybe are not essential. Now, if you're paying $10 a month to make sure that your computer is protected from hackers and viruses and stuff, no problem. I think that is important because that protects your money. But on the other hand, have a look at it. You know, I've got some things that I have got what I call $10 a month to play a game or a series of games online. I'm actually going to let that lapse. The other thing is, from my experience, even people like your provider of internet or whatever, you know, maybe you've got a really fancy plan there. I don't know what they're called in the States, but you know, maybe you've got a really fancy plan. And you ask yourself, with the amount that you can use your computer, do you really need such a fancy plan? Or is it worth it for your health to have all those channels? Yeah, that's what you've got to work out for yourself. For some people, keeping that fancy plan perhaps is good for their mental health. All right, so here we go. Less money means better use of your food. I keep saying to people, I know that it looks expensive and people say, oh, no, I'm not going to buy that. It's too expensive. But buy a roast. You know, you get more meals out of a roast at far cheaper price than you do out of buying, you know, individual portions of stuff. So my attitude is, and I've done it for years, I buy a roast and I make it work for me. Because first of all, I can have roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, for example. But then I also have enough meat left over to do braised beef. And I also have enough left over to make shepherd's pie. And I also, you know what I mean? And so it goes on. So, you know, that one roast may be a bit expensive up front, but when I work out how many meals I get out of it, it is actually way cheaper than buying all those individual things. The other thing I wanted to say is get creative with food. You know, as long as you can afford to buy it at the moment, keep buying it. But they're going to get to a stage where, as Jeannie said, you're going to have to start shopping in your own pantry here. And two of the things that I have on the list of things I recommend you get, one is packaged potatoes. Yeah, Jody's going, it's a fantastic way of the roasting. It's a fantastic way to save some dollars, and yet it feels decadent. I quite agree. There's nothing like putting a roast on the table where you're going, I thought we were really broke, and here's a roast. Yeah. The other thing is a pot roast, if you've got a slow cooker. Now, there's real value for money, because if you cook it well, you know, in a slow cooker, even a cheap piece of meat will taste fantastic out of a slow cooker. All right, so let's get on to this. I really recommend buying things like packaged potatoes. I personally find, I'm not getting paid by them, by the way, but I personally like this one. If I'm going to have packaged potatoes, this is the one I buy. But also buy tins of soup with meat in them. Now, I was trying to think, what could we do just with these two? Okay, so here, what I did last night, because I wanted to remember how to do it in case any of you asked, I made what they called croquet potatoes, which is mashed potatoes wrapped in breadcrumbs. And guess what? The breadcrumbs were left over from some bread. And what I did is, before it went stale, I put it in my blender, turned it into breadcrumbs, and just dried it out in the oven. And what you do is you just make mashed potato, let it cool down, and then just make little balls of it and roll it in the breadcrumbs and then cook it. And you can just bake it or you can fry it, you know, whatever you want to do. But they are really tasty, and it uses up potato and bread that's about to go off. The other thing is, I was thinking about a can of chunky soup. And I'm not being paid by these people, but I just wanted to talk to you. Let's think, how many things could you do with this can of soup? Number one, you could eat it as a can of soup. Okay? That's the number one thing. All right? But give me some more options. Let's see how you do. All right. While we're waiting for people to type that, Jeannie is saying that she takes about a pound of hamburger and she sautés it with onions and mushrooms. And the next day I might add a sauce for it. Yep. And then I add it to a big salad, or 3 different ways. All right. She makes tacos, and exactly what we're thinking about. So let's do the same here. Yes, you could make shepherd's pie from this. No doubt about it. Just as it is, you could mince it up and make shepherd's pie. Hi, Maria. And so what else could you do with it? I'm thinking, I don't know what they call them in America. Jody, what do you call a Cornish pasty? You know, where you've got you've got meat inside an envelope of pastry. I don't know what you call that in. Hi, Alice. It's good to see you. What do you call that, Jody, in America? But, you know, that's one thing, all right, to have puff pastry empanadas. Okay, so definitely make those. What else could you make? Yeah, we're getting that now, empanadas. All right, so I knew that there had to be a different name. But what I want you to think about is this can would probably make 3 meals for one person if you used it well, all right? And you would have meat and vegetables at the price. I think I paid a couple of bucks for this. All right, so think about that. One of the things I wanted to talk about, you know, growing your own vegetables as well was, you know, quite often what you're looking for is the taste of onion. So 9 times out of 10, just the leaves alone, you could use. For those of you who know, do any of you know what leeks are? I've got some here somewhere. Where have I got leeks? I think here. Okay, so these are store-bought leeks, all right? They're normally quite long. And if you look carefully, look how well they're growing already. All right? But I'm thinking, you know, the taste is in the leaves, all right? So think about the fact that just using the leaves of some of these vegetables will give you, you know, a lot of taste when you want it. All right, and this is, again, just to remind you, these lettuces here, Maria, a leek tastes a lot like an onion, sort of actually more like a spring onion. All right, so these are all lettuces that I just put the tops into soil. So these are all growing, as you can see, pretty nicely. And this is to amuse Jody. This is a butter lettuce that I bought with the roots still on it. Be careful not to get the base of it in water because it'll just go moldy. But look how nicely that is growing. And it did that last week. It didn't have any of these coming out of the side like this. So I wanted you to see, yes, Alice is saying celery. Celery will grow again. And what I found, though, Alice, is that you've got to get it into earth pretty quickly with celery. Otherwise, it goes moldy from the bottom up. Yeah, that's a beautiful butter lettuce. I was really quite pleased with it. Okay, so grow your own vegetables if you can. And what I wanted to find out is, I'm pretty sure that all of you have got at least one window that's pretty good light on it. And that's all that you need, quite honestly. And if you're going, oh, I don't have enough room, you know, if I needed to, on my window here, I could go up. And for those of you who want to get seeds, these are my radishes that are growing. This is chard, and I'm waiting for beans to grow here. And reusing an egg carton, of course. But as you can see, they're growing very nicely and not taking up a lot of room at all. Now they are going to go into my garden, but you're saying, what if I don't have a garden? Make one. This, I just literally am using here a plastic milk carton, right? And literally all that you do is you take your milk carton, not rocket science, cut it round about half. Now you've got this. I use a coffee filter because I don't want the earth coming out of the bottom, but you could use the cap and just stick a couple of holes in it. All right. Put it in there. You now have a self-watering plant container. Why? Because you can water it and the excess water will go at the bottom, and just this bit will be in the water. It works so well. All right. So I've been making them for about a year now, and I'm amazed how well they work. You don't need an outside garden if you can do this. So, do any of you find that helpful? Yes. Judy's saying, if you think you'll run out of milk or coffee, buy non-dairy creamer. Yes, we're saying buy dry goods and canned goods of everything you can. In other words, if you don't like non-dairy creamer, I buy powdered milk. I also would recommend that you get tinned milk. You know, some people will have condensed milk and use it instead of cream. You know, all these sort of things, it is possible to do. You just got to change your mentality a bit. And what I've also said to everybody is upsize if you have the ability to do so. If you're buying flour at the moment, buy 10 pounds if you can, rather than 1 or 2, all right? Because the price of these things is going to go up dramatically. Okay, so grow your own vegetables if you can. Very important, Jody mentioned, because she was helping me with some of this, and she said, you know, take multivitamins. Make sure you're taking vitamin D. Why? It's the sunshine vitamin, right? It'll keep your mood up. Also, she's saying that our meals may not be as balanced as we like because we're spending so much time indoors, which is also true, right? Think about your diet and make it as healthy as possible. I would also like to say that if you have room in your freezer, you know, make sure you've got fresh fruit, or rather frozen fruit and frozen vegetables. if you have room. If you have the ability to get an extra freezer just so you can carry more, you might want to consider it before the prices go too high. I'm actually toying with that idea, quite honestly. Right, and Jeannie's saying, I made a wonderful sorbet by blending bananas with frozen mangoes and ice cubes. Yeah, we can get very creative if we want to. And that is the whole point, that as we go through these weeks, what I want you to do is to get more and more ideas of what you can do, not what you can't. And as you know, I'm a can-do person. It's not about, we might have less, but the way we use it might be far better. Okay, so now then, how many of you make your own washing powder and things like dishwasher powder? Because it is so easy to make. I think the washing powder requires sunlight soap and borax, I think those were the main things. And you literally just grate the sunlight soap and you mix it with borax, and there are plenty of recipes online. But I want to tell you something, you can save a fortune on washing powder. I have made my own dishwashing powder, which I use for what I call the everyday stuff. If I have a very big load and it's very greasy or something, I will use the commercial stuff. But other than that, I actually use my own that I make. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is, how many of you have air fresheners like this in your house, or something similar? Something that has one of these little doodads inside. She says, hoping she can pull it out. There we go. One of these things inside. All right. Did you know they are refillable if you're smart? And you know I am. So, anybody want to know how? Okay, hang on a second. So, all you need is to get a syringe and buy yourself a cheapo imitation Febreze or something. This I got from the dollar store for $1. And I never use it full strength because it's overwhelming. But this is what I do. I will get a little bit of water. Okay. I literally will take a little bit of water like this. Hi, Beth. And then your dollar store or Dollar General, whatever, a couple of squirts of their highly perfumed imitation. And what I do is I keep going until, actually, I think I must have liquidized this down already, watered it down. But let's presume that is the right amount. And then all you do is you take your syringe, okay? You draw up the liquid like this. And you take this and you just literally, it needs a bit of help, hang on. Make the tiniest hole you can. You just want to just get a tiny little hole there. So I'm using a steak knife. Come on. Because this one's going to be the most difficult one I've ever tried to do. Come on. Wow. The other ones are much easier. Come on. Wow. It's amazing. Nearly there. I could have dug my way to Australia this time. You got to believe how thick that is. Hang on. Plan B. There we go. Okay. So you just stick your goodie in there and you just squirt in your liquid. And now you have, this one's leaking out, of course, and just seal it. And then you've got new air freshener. This one, by the way, is way easier. I've never had one that difficult before. Anyway, so that is a really, and I've been doing that for years as well. It is so easy to do. The other thing is, buy yourself some essential oil while you can. I'm big into lemongrass at the moment. I don't know why I love the smell of lemongrass so much, but I really love it. I actually just drop it onto my pillows at night before I go to bed. But you know, you can literally have whatever flavor you want. Good. What else have I got for you? More ideas. Do you understand that this is about how creative can we be? And I believe that people who are survivors at their base core can be very creative on a very little amount of money. So, Jody, I was thinking about, you know, where you live, and I know that you might want to check with the owners of the property whether, you know, you're allowed to start a little garden somewhere to grow vegetables. I think it would be a great thing to occupy Lionel. You know what I mean? It's because it's very creative, and it's, you know, you two together could be growing, you know, the base things, and then he could go and plant them and look after them when he takes the little one out to go for his walk, you know. And I was just thinking it would be an interesting hobby for some people. Yes, I don't know why I was thinking about that. And, you know, at worst, Jody, you know, start a container garden. All right. Now, I know that it's possible that people could steal your produce, but I've got a feeling that you wouldn't mind that either. Excuse me. All right, so another thing I wanted to show you. You know, at the end of your cereal bag, you know, you've always got that crud that's at the bottom, you know, the frosting stuff and the broken bits of cereal or whatever. Don't throw those away. Just keep them in a jar. I use mine as toppings for things like muffins. Yeah, these are bran muffins, and I just use those little bits from the bottom of my cereal things to add topping, crunchy topping, but also it, you know, you've got a sweetener in there as well, because of, you know, most of that stuff is sugar as well at the bottom. And so, you know, it's just like another way to not waste it, use it. How many of you have heard the English term bubble and squeak? And that is where you take mashed potato and you throw in vegetables and things. Maybe you've got a couple of bits of bacon. Whoever has bacon left over, that's silly. So. Maybe you got a couple of bits of meat and a couple of bits of vegetable left over, but it's not enough to make a meal. The interesting thing is, if you make some mashed potato and you mix it all in, you then put it in a casserole and grill it. And if you really want to be decadent, throw some cheese on top and grill it. you will have a meal that I want to tell you is amazing. All right. But the thing is, you need to make sure that you use what you've got left over. And so what I really recommend is 1 day a week. If things start to get tight, at least 1 day a week, make sure you have your leftover evening. This is where we take whatever's left over in the fridge, and see what we can create out of it. So let's think, what other things can we do? You can incorporate bits of vegetables and bits of meat in with mashed potato. For any of you who are aware of the British Yorkshire pudding, I know that you can make a Yorkshire pudding batter and put them in your baking tray, what do you call them, muffin pans, and then throw in little bits of food, vegetable and meat and so forth, and make little popovers with food in them. And they're really nice to have. And they're nice even to have cold with mayo. So think about the things that you can do. Don't throw food away. You might be grateful for it. Okay. I also recommend having a routine for your food. How many of you already do that? You have a routine, this is, you've got a routine for what you're going to have for breakfast, and you've got like a 7-day routine for that. You've got a routine for what you're going to have for lunch. And how many of you, maybe make salad for lunch to make sure that you get enough greens in you? And you understand that you don't have to have too many of these going to be able to get enough salad for 1 or 2 people. I love using these leaves, for example, inside a sandwich. It's amazing, and it cost me nothing because the original butter lettuce I already paid for a long time ago, and now I just keep taking leaves and adding them to things. So think about that. I would also recommend that, not only 1 day a week where you have leftovers and be creative, make pancakes out of them. You know what I mean? There's so many things. Make the Cornish pasty type meals and do whatever. There's so much you can do with leftovers if you want to. I would also recommend having 1 day a week that's meatless. Get into the habit of not eating meat. How many of you are going, you mean I'm giving you permission to make mac and cheese once a week? Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you want to make it slightly more healthy, use skim milk with it. If you want to make it slightly more healthy, throw some tomatoes in there, that's vegetable. All right, so Beth is saying, new virus routine. Husband works from home now. So I made him executive in charge of that. Oh, of food. Good. He's in charge of food. That's wonderful. All right, yes. And Maria's saying, for those of you who are Catholic, obviously you don't eat meat on Fridays. So you're already into that. If you're Catholic, then you already know about that, and that's not a problem. All right, Jeannie's saying, I purchased a small cabbage for boiled dinner. I had a lot left. I made cabbage, vegetable soup, and other things. Yes. How many of you, do cabbage wraps? All right. I would also like to suggest that you can do cabbage wraps. Maybe if you can get one of those red cabbages, right? And just instead of using tacos, use a cabbage leaf or a lettuce leaf, all right? And another great way of using up. Wow, Maria's saying she's actually making a baked cacti salad. I have never had that. I got to go and find some baked cacti now. And by the way, and just for those of you who are going, well, I could make the mac and cheese and throw some bacon on top of it. Yep, that's a great idea, but that would not, bacon is a meat. Right? So don't mess your meatless day with putting bacon on top. So leftover meals is really a free meal, if you think about it. If you do one meal a week that is leftovers, it is a free meal. And so obviously, if money is tight, we're not going to be eating out as much. Wow. Alice is saying she made kale soup and kale chips the other day. Yes. I'm busy. I think, Alice, in my back garden, I've got 4 bits of kale. That's what Benji says they are. So I'm looking forward to being able to use baby kale. Jeannie's saying yesterday she made stuffed mushrooms. You see, we can have gourmet food if we want to. You know, it's just how creative do you want to be? I was thinking, you know, and I've said this before, I'm pretty sure, but if you wanted to, you could take some of this and blend it and turn it into a sauce over something else. All right. Right, so we're going to have less entertainment. And I think anybody who is bored at the moment isn't trying. I am busier now than I have been since I moved. I'm not joking. Right, so Alice is saying we always cook this way. Nothing new for us living in the countryside. I quite agree, Alice. I quite agree. For some people, this is not new, but I have to be aware that for a lot of people, they have had everything all the time. And this is going to be a rude awakening for some people. What do you mean I can't buy toilet paper? What do you mean I can't buy meat? Right? So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that we help people learn how to cope without. Okay, so in terms of not having, yeah, making burritos is a great idea, Beth, now that you think about it. Burritos, she's saying that she had a frozen burrito with sour cream and hot sauce. Yeah, buy a big bottle of hot sauce if you like hot sauce, right? You might need it. So with less entertainment, it is really a case of how good is your mental health. All right, so Alice is saying, I spend my days chopping wood for my friends so she has wood for the fireplace for the next couple of years. Great exercise. I used to chop my own wood as well, Alice. I totally go with that. I know my neighbors used to think I was insane, but I would have wood delivered and then I would chop it to put it in my fireplace. And I did that, wow, for years. And I lived in suburbia. I mean, it wasn't like I lived in the country. I did that in suburbia because I had an open fireplace. So yeah, great. I saw it as my exercise. I cannot tell you what it was like in the middle of the winter trying to do that. But I also had a wood pile fall on top of my car. You can probably imagine how that was. It was covered under my insurance. I was so pleased. All right, so think about this. If you are bored, it means that you are not doing anything. All right? Yes, Alice is saying this chopping wood for her neighbor, it's her way to pay forward while being socially distant. Absolutely. I know that one of my neighbors here in the community collects pop cans and gives them to a homeless person so they can cash them in. So I'm still collecting my pop cans, and I just put them on her doorstep as I'm going for a walk. I just drop them off. You know, it's like I don't need to talk to her or anything else, but I'm also paying it forward while social distancing. It's amazing what you can do, Alice, if you want to. And I know that you have a survivor mentality as well, because I've met you. And it's just like, it's really important. Just, it's not what we can't do, it's what can we do, and be a bit creative about it. So if you are bored, I feel really sorry in a way for a lot of the younger children, preteen and early teens, who have not grown up with anything except what they wanted. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they're going to feel entitled to things that they are no longer going to be able to have. And I would say, if your children want to learn, want to eat chips, teach them how to make them. All right? This is called, you want to eat chips, no problem. But you're going to need to make your own, because we can't afford to buy them anymore. If they're used to eating other things, teach them how to make candy. Teach them how to help themselves. I think it's really important at this time. The other thing is, plan your day to be busy. I have great difficulty getting through my routine every day, because I literally go, I have 1 hour to do this, I have 1 hour to do in here, I have 1 hour to work in here, I have 1 hour to work in here, I have 1 hour to unpack from the move, or that normally ends up being at least 2 hours. I have 1 or 2 hours in the garden. My day is full. All right, so Jeannie is saying, I made tacos for my dog groomer who was busy doing her last grooming. She had to close down for weeks. Yeah, exactly. But I disagree with that, Jeannie. I think if she wanted to carry on grooming dogs, she could. She could do it outside your house. All right? And she could bring her clippers, and do it anyway. Yeah, Alice is saying, my survival skills have grown a lot since moving from the city to the countryside. Can't even remember the last time I bothered doing makeup. No, Alice, are you serious? And I know how much you loved your makeup. So that is awesome to hear. Jody's saying, my day is full is an understatement for you, so yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And in between that, but Jody, if I may say so, that would be true of you as well, right? All right, what I'm saying though is, I think that she could groom dogs outside your house. If she comes to your house and she grooms your dog outside, and you leave the payment somewhere under the third patio chair on the left or whatever, she doesn't have to even talk to you. She doesn't have to get near you, but she could still groom your dog. I think people are going to get really creative. As I said, somebody came to visit me yesterday. We stood 10 feet apart, and we had quite a conversation for about 20 minutes. And to me, that was like a breath of fresh air. I was so appreciative. So we're going to have less social interaction. And what I wanted to find out is, what are you finding about the fact that you're not going out of the house as much? Jody's actually admitting it now. She's saying, yes, that's true, but not like you. You need rollerblades. The thing is not that, Jody. I have found out, and it took me a lifetime to find that out, that exercise is really about movement. If I keep moving, I now do not allow myself to sit down for more than 10 minutes during the day. If I need to, I try not to sit down even to answer emails and things, because once I sit down, I'm inclined to stay there. And if I am not moving, I have a set number of steps that I try to get in every day. And it's not about exercise. It is about keep moving. All right, so Alice is saying, I wear a hat, no makeup, and overalls. Oh, I love overalls. It's been at least a week since I've brushed my hair. I can't be bothered. Take it or leave it. Do you know something, though? That's country life for a lot of people. Is your hair short now? Because you're probably cutting your own hair as well, as I've been doing for years. Jeannie's saying, I attempted to make 2 masks today, but I'm bad at it. Okay, Jeannie, great input. Thank you. Here's the thing. Anybody who tries to make a mask is going to be bad at it. But tell me how bad you are at it after you've done 100. Do you understand? I can, one of my stories I always tell, Jeannie, is that after I got divorced, I got telephone calls from my ex-husband saying, so the Wi-Fi won't work or something, the television won't work. How do I get it to work? And I said, you learn. No. Why don't you just tell me? Because you know how to do it. And I said, guess how I learned how to do it? I kept trying until it worked. And it's just like, really? Get over it. Learn. So, Jeannie, I love the truth of that. I tried to make a mask and it wasn't very good. But, I bet you the second one, you'll do it slightly differently. And by the 5th one, you probably will have perfected it. And after that, you will be churning those things out for your neighbors, for whatever, without any problem at all. How many of you have already, I know Jody has already ordered the materials and the elastic and everything, so she can make them for, who are you making yours for, Jody? Yeah, you keep trying, Jeannie. You keep trying, honey. You're going to get really good at this. By the way, I'm, just let me show you. When I go out now, I can't do this backwards. Okay, let me do it the right way. When I go out now, I take a scarf with me, right? I haven't made my masks yet. And then I don't care if anybody thinks it's stupid. I take half a coffee filter. It's so difficult doing this in the mirror. Okay, so not pretty, but it works. So to me, it's like, what do you want to do? I want to get out of this right now. All right, so my question is this. My question is this. When I've been out and people, and I'm wearing gloves, but when you come home, those gloves that have touched all these doors and everything, I'm going straight to my washing machine and washing them. But does anybody know what the right thing to do is? Because I haven't checked out what the right thing is to do with it. So obviously, if I've used this and my gloves, I will throw them in the washing machine immediately. But I'm not even sure whether that would kill the germs. Anyway, I thought I'd show you, it's like get creative. So let's get creative about less social interaction. What can we do? I would like to say that it is really important, if you are social by nature, that you stay social. All right. Now, Jody was talking about the platform Zoom, which is a great idea. It's a web-based video conferencing thing. But I just want to tell you that there's been a bit of a scare about Zoom recently because their security is questionable. So just be careful before you use that. They have put up a public apology and that they're working on it. So just think about that. But I'm thinking Hangouts, Facebook, whatever. You've got plenty of different platforms today where you can be social together. Things like Tiny Chat or whatever, you can put 3 or 4 people together and all be up on camera if you want that. So I think you can do that with Hangouts. I think you can get 12 people on a Hangout. So I would go with the reputable providers. I'd feel a lot more safe. It's the reason I came off some of the other platforms. I just knew that they didn't care about security the way that I wanted them to, which is why I stopped using them. All right, so here's some things. I want to tell you that I found a great site where it gave 100 things you can do if you're bored. So how many of you agree that it'd be nice to have a list? And if so, I'll put the link up. But it said, give yourselves a manicure or a pedicure. That would use up an hour. How about trying out a new hairstyle? Now, Jeannie, I'm thinking about you and doing the masks, all right? The first time you cut your hair, you cut a little bit. Don't go giving yourself a whole new haircut, right? Just literally do a little bit. And I found that the easiest way to cut my hair is just literally, I know what the shape is. I know that's my bang. And so I do my bangs at an angle like this, and I just cut them like this. Okay? And I keep doing that until I've got the right length of my bangs. I know the sides, I want them to be this shape. So guess what? I just take it like this, and then I trim it this way. And then once I got that bit done, I trim the next bit like that. And then I keep going down like that. Make sense? And the bottom bits, I just take all of my hair like this. I put it like this and go, okay, fine, anything that sticks out is going. This is really rocket science hair cutting. I can see there's a bit there that I can't get. Where is it? Go there. Here we go. All right, so boom, that's the length. Come here. Anything that sticks out has to go. Done. All right. And I know it'll be roughly the same length because of the way I did it. Now, if you want to get technical, you could also then come down and then work like this, going down this way, which I need to do with my hair because I have a lot of hair. Beth is saying she wouldn't recommend that for straight hair. Right, you got to find a way that works for you, Beth. And I know you've got a beautiful bob, and maybe you teach Charles how to cut hair. All right, but what I'm saying is just do a little bit. Don't go and do a major cut and end up making a mistake. Just trim little bits. By the time, hopefully, it's looking, either you're going to learn how to do it in a way that suits you, or we're going to be out of this problem. How about treat yourself to something really nice? Maybe if you're capable of getting in and out of a bath, maybe just take some time to turn your bathroom into a spa And, just literally once or twice a week, have a spa bath, with all the, nice aromas and the bubbles and everything else. Try out a new face mask. Hi, Niasha. Niasha, thank you so much for the wonderful advice you gave me. For those of you who don't know, I was struggling last week trying to type something on my computer, which is higher up. And Niasha taught me how to get hold of the on-screen keyboard. And I really want to thank you, Niasha. I'm amazed how much I've used it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Niasha, this is all about making do with less. So you'll probably find it interesting when you get a chance to listen to it. All right, so for some of you who've never had enough time to do those coloring books, adult coloring books, can you take an hour and do it? You see, the biggest problem that people have is actually giving themselves permission to do something like that. All right, Jody's saying it's recommended to wash your clothes in the hottest water that's safe for the fabric and use a bleach solution if possible. It's advised to wash clothes after returning home out of doors. All of your clothes, Jody. So my jackets as well. Right, Jeannie's saying, I've decided that we should buy some fudge. The Mill Fudge Factory in New Hampshire sends wonderful fudge. I am a huge lover of fudge. Of course, I'm not meant to eat it now, but I agree with you. Nyasha's saying her internet is sticking a lot, but that's okay. All right, Nyasha, no problem. I understand. All right, so Beth is saying a dryer works good for sanitary reasons, really. So in other words, if you can, keep your dryer not on the lowest setting. I'm thinking about, boy, if I've got to wash my anorak every time I go out, I wonder how long it'll last. But maybe I will start just wearing hoodies out rather than my anorak, because the hoodies are easy to do that. So you throw your jacket. It's your jacket you throw. So what do? Put in a wet face cloth or something with it and let it steam dry? Yeah, I would actually just put in a wet face cloth or two just to set the steam going, because that will help. Great idea, Beth. Thank you. A really great idea. So that works. Thank you, honey. Appreciate that. So some of you may want to take up doing yoga. I was thinking if I got really brave, maybe I should videotape myself trying to do yoga. For those of you who want to, try writing a poem, try writing, a journal. For some of you, you have my permission to take a nap. All right. You've been overworking for so long. And, I'm thinking people like, Beth, it's okay to take a nap. Or actually to read a whole book. One of the things that I used to love about going camping, for those of you who are campers, you'll probably understand this, but when I went camping, my first 3 days of camping, I used to say to myself, you have my full permission to do nothing for 3 days except sleep. And what I would do is I would sleep, and then I would open a book and I'd read maybe a page and a half, and then I would sleep for another 4 hours, and then I'd wake up and I'd grab some food, go to the washroom, and then I'd read about a page and a half before I fell asleep again. And I would do that for 3 days. I want to tell you, it is amazing how well you feel at the end of that, how relaxed, how you're just, so give yourself permission to do nothing. Listen to me. By the way, one of the things is listen to music. Don't be my neighbor who listens to music. At the moment, I'm very grateful they're doing it inside because they have their bass set really high. I am really dreading what's going to happen when they bring that music outside in the summer. But I'm hoping it's not going to happen because I may have to complain. Right now, I can hear the bass of their music in my house, and that drives me insane, but never mind. Stretch. I'm busy. Part of my routine now is actually to get on my total gym. And what I'm doing is I'm working on my strength of my back and my hips. I have been having problems with my one leg, as you know, and I must say that it's still not easy. But I am sort of getting there. And now what I'm doing is I'm lying on my back on the sliding, it has a sliding bench. And I'm lying on my back and doing squats and changing the angle of that squat. Because I realized that my Achilles tendon rather, are really shortened, and so are my calves. So I need to do more squat type work to stretch those out again. And then also I need to do a lot more work on my hips. So that's what I'm doing. And I try to do that for like 10 minutes a day. I don't overdo it. Just try and I warm up for about 5 minutes and then I do those for another 5. And I reckon that's all going to help. Some of you may want to learn to meditate. And, there's so much online today that is so helpful. I would recommend that if you can, get outside every day. As some of you know, I spend at least an hour outside in my garden every day. And yesterday, I didn't even realize how long I was out there. I was busy doing stuff, and the next thing I knew, it had been 2 hours, and I'd done 4,000 steps out there, doing nothing, apparently. Apparently it was something because it was 4,000 steps later. Jeannie's saying, why do some guys find it so hard to stay home? I've had to talk a lot to York to explain it's important to obey the edict to stay home as much as possible. We all have trouble with it, Jeannie. But he's not he is not entitled to go out just because he wants to. That's a good way of making other people sick. And I would change his mentality. It's not about you. It's about the woman with 4 children that you're about to infect without even knowing that you've got it. That you may not give it to me for some reason, but you could pass it on to somebody else if you go out. So do me a favor. Stop being selfish. Stay home. Right, so Jody's saying, Sal, I was thinking that you have a more complete, perhaps even more fulfilling daily routine than you did before this situation began. I find it inspiring. I actually, I tried to work it out. What do I want to do? I don't want to sit around feeling like I value freedom. Do any of you, maybe that's something that York understands as well. I value my freedom. So to me, I don't want to feel like I'm being restricted. So if I want to go out, I will get in my car. I normally do that twice a week. I had to think for a second, when did I do it? But I normally do that twice a week. I get in my car and I will drive for half an hour just to get out of the house. And once I'm out of the house and in sort of rural area, I'll wipe down the windows and get lots of, fresh air into the car and everything. You can let the wind, blow my hair and do things like that. So, there are ways of getting out without getting amongst people. I had to go to the bank, which is where I did this thing. But you know, it was interesting because even the bank said to me, "Are you sick?" And I said, "No, but I don't want to be, and I don't want to make somebody else sick." And what made me so angry was they were so busy making sure we had social distance from each other when we were going in, but they didn't care about the person coming out, walking right next to us. So I'm going, what's the point of social distancing if going in, if the person coming out can rub shoulders with you? Duh. Same thing in the supermarket. There should be one-way aisles in a supermarket or in any store. Beth, one-way aisles in your store would help save lives. All right, another thing you could do is write a letter to your future self. You know, this is historic. And maybe you want to write a letter to yourself, or maybe even to your grandchildren or your yet to be born great-grandchildren, and let them know what it's like to be in a pandemic. You know, what you've learned, what you are learning. Keep a journal and pass it on. The pandemic of 2020. For those of you who like to write, a great story to tell. Thank you, Jody. I would make time to, if you like tea, you know, make tea time with your better half. All right. You know, the Brits always used to sit down for tea at 4:00 in the afternoon. And you'd have a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits. That was all. But it was a time to stop doing and be. Sit down and have tea. I know that my sister, for example, when her better half was alive, they would sit and have cheese and wine every evening at 7:00 or 6:00, I think. Cheese and wine. They just sit down, have a glass of wine, and different cheeses and crackers. But you know, make it a moment. Part of your routine is to sit down and have cheese and wine. So Niash is saying here in Trinidad and Tobago, there are people who are disobeying the lockdown rules. I want to tell you, everywhere in the world, there are people breaking the lockdown rules. They seem to think that they don't apply to them. And by the way, Niasha, that is life, unfortunately. Jeannie's saying, I have tea time nearly every evening. My husband makes it for me, and that gesture is wonderful to me. Yeah. I think it's wonderful when you can do that. When you can say, this is our time to have tea. Okay. In terms of having less entertainment, I would like you to think for a moment, not about yourself, but make a list of who in your sphere of people is likely to be most vulnerable to being isolated. I think we know all sorts of people, even within DearMamaSal, some of whom will cope much better than others. And so it is a good time for us to think, who do we know that won't do well being isolated? Why? They do not have the emotional intelligence, if you like, to be able to keep themselves busy and creative and happy and whatever. And so I would also suggest that those are the people who are going to need a lot of options. They don't understand that they can do things. It's just, what can they do? All right. Their minds want to dwell on the restriction rather than the, wow, I've just been given permission to stay in bed all day in my jammies if I want to. You see, there's so many pluses to this if you want to make them that way. And I'm not joking. I have now self-isolated for, this is my 3rd week. I've been out once, and that was to go to the bank because I needed to get money. And I needed money in case of an emergency. And that's what I did. I phoned the bank first and said, I need to pull out this amount of money and I'm coming in on this day to get it. And they've, in other words, they had it all counted for me, ready, packed. And so when I went in there, I didn't need to spend a lot of time. It literally it was wrapped in, and had my name on it. And I actually saw the piece of paper. I saw it come out as a bundle, and there it was. So Jeannie's saying watching certain TV programs together is food, like Jeopardy. Yes, for some of you, it's good. Okay, not food, good. Yeah, it's spend time doing different things, but I would say find things to do other than watch television if you can. Get creative. It's a great time to go, we've always meant to paint that second room. Let's do it now while we've got time, and let's do it together and have some fun. All right? What does it cost for a can of paint? $28 or something, or whatever it is in the States. But, and it's like you could redo. By the way, if you want free paint, you know how to get it, right? If you go to any recycling place that takes paint, what they do is they empty the cans all into one big vat and they end up with gray paint. So, if you like the gray and white combination, when I walked into this place and saw it was gray and white, I went, I know where they got their paint. And then, to my absolute amazement, I found a can of paint for my bedroom, and they actually had gray mixed up. The formula was on the can, and I'm going, I can't believe they did that. So here is what I have to say as a bottom line on this stuff. You are responsible for your mental health. Agreed? You are responsible. It's not for somebody else to make you happy. It's not for somebody else to entertain you. It's not for somebody else to go walk with you. It is about you are responsible for keeping your mental health. I want to tell you, if you can't get outside the house because you are physically unable, then get to a window and open it up and breathe fresh air. Even if you have to put your coat on and a scarf and whatever, but make sure that you breathe fresh air. Jody's saying, I agree. If it's going to be, it's up to me. Yes, if I want to tell you that as soon as I hear somebody say, well, I can't get out and be entertained anymore, I'm going, they're not even trying. Right? All right, so Nyasha's saying, I've seen someone within my Facebook contact say she's going to need counseling as a result of seeing all the statistics and data being displayed. So I said to myself, that wouldn't be me. Good for you, Nyasha. This is called expect. Remember what I said to you. All right? Be prepared, not scared. Weeks ago, I was telling you, be prepared, not scared, because the numbers are going to get horrific. Be prepared for that. Be prepared and just go, at the moment, it has not affected me. And therefore, my job is to look after me. Absolutely. Stop watching that 24/7. I watch that news twice a day, in the morning and again in the evening, but only for about half an hour or so, enough to get caught up. And then off it goes. And but I do believe that you should watch the news. You do need to know what's going on, because also you might get some good tips. Wow. Nyasha's saying your broadcasts are so preparing our minds. Thank you. You know something, Nyasha, that touches my soul. That is what I want to not only make sure that I keep you one step ahead of what's going to happen. All right. If you remember, at first I was going, be prepared for this to happen. And it did. And now it's about be prepared for food to get scarce, for everything to cost a lot more. Be prepared for that. And then if you are, you won't be shocked by it or scared by it. You'll go, oh yeah, we knew that was coming. So I'm trying as best I can to keep you, ahead of the curve, if you like, of what's going to happen. Right. So Maria's saying her way of finding out what's going on is she asks her husband. He likes to watch it, right? Right. And Maria's saying, and I just know myself, and I know I can go to extremes. We can all go to extremes. So how about learning to control that? You've got a wonderful time to learn to control that. Yes, I can watch it, but I'm not going to watch it for more than 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm going to get on with my life. That's what I want you to do. Get on with your life. I want you to think, if you knew, and I'm not saying this is true, and I don't want you to run with it the wrong direction, but if you knew you weren't going to be alive this time next month, what would you be doing? Right. Jody's saying, I remember you saying they will be limiting how many people can enter a store. And here we are. It's a reality now. Yeah, Jody, that's what I've been quietly trying to do, is to make sure you understand what is coming. By the way, how many of you remember that? I don't know if I told you, but about a year ago, I did an experiment on not using toilet paper. And I know you're saying, how gross is that? And what I did is I cut up cotton, soft cotton, brushed cotton. I cut up into bigger than toilet paper size pieces because you don't want to huck it down the toilet by accident. But literally to have a container near my toilet. And, I realized that men never use toilet paper anyway for peeing. So why do women? And what I started to do was just do this and just throw it into the bucket with disinfectant in it. And not a bucket, but a container next to my toilet. And then every time I do the wash, I just tuck it all in there and just, everything gets washed. And it's just like amazing. But the thing is, the only time I use toilet paper now is for the messy stuff. And I feel good about that. I literally have cut my use of toilet paper down dramatically by doing that. All right, so Nyasha said, I listened to the reply when you explained what inflation was. Never did I know what inflation was, as old as I am. I mean, I'd heard it before, but that explanation, but that's I see that as my job, Nyasha, is to make sure that everybody understands. All right, but she's saying, but the explanation of individuals wouldn't mind paying more for something that isn't really worth the price due to the lack of supply has really stuck with me. I'm grateful for being here and learning so much. Well, you see that I want to make sure you're prepared for that. All right. I already heard somebody that I know say to me, I cannot believe the price of meat at the moment. And I'm going, you ain't seen nothing yet. If you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. Jody, how's the shopping going? I am trying to be at least 1 week ahead in my shopping now. I spent 2 weeks getting stocked up, and now I'm ordering a week ahead. Why? Because I'm having it delivered, and I'm trying, and in my next order is, I've already got the April 11 order in. Okay, so Jody's saying, I've been saving on paper towel use, thanks to Sal. Oh yeah, I got to show you that. Okay, here's my paper towel supply, all right? Literally, after you've used a piece of paper towel, put it into this peanut butter jar, wash it. Oh, it's good for my chins. Exercise routine, people, think exercise routine. Every night, what do? Pour it into the sink, rinse it out. Okay, rinse it out, hang it over the faucet there, and by the morning it's dry. And I just pop it into a drawer, paper towels. Now, some of them have got stain from tomato ketchup or something that was used. I don't know, but it works. So, and Jody, I remember you saying that the first time you did it, Lionel rolled his eyes at you, but, now he's probably quite used to it. Yeah, Jody's saying, chopping-wise, it's getting there. We're great on baking items now, working on more canned goods and powdered items like whole milk. Yes, powdered. Jody helped me with this one. Let me get to that list if I can. In fact, Jody's here, so she'll help me. But think about, did you know you can get powdered peanut butter? Did you know you could get powdered whole milk? Did you know you could get powdered butter? Did you know you could get powdered eggs if necessary? There's so many things that you can get where you can use it for baking, and if it's in short supply, powdered cheese, yes. So I bought marshmallow powder. Why not? I mean, really, if I'm going to be having lockdown, then I'm going to make sure I have things that I enjoy. Yes, Jody's saying now is the time to relearn the basics. How many of you have always wanted to learn how to bake bread? This would be a great time. You've got time to learn. All right. By the way, don't expect the first loaf to do anything but, probably feel like a brick. It's a bit like anything else. Practice makes perfect. I freeze butter and cheese. Yes, good point, Jeannie. Thank you. Yes, I freeze butter and I freeze cheese all the time. I've normally got about at least 1 or 2 big things of butter in my fridge. And I don't use them unless I need to. Yeah. Do you know another way to save on your use of butter? I started doing this a long time ago. I keep this is going to get messy, Sal, but never mind. Okay, so I keep my butter in the fridge like this. And if I want to have a bit of butter in the bottom of a pan, I don't cut a piece off. I literally put this on the pan and then rub it around, and then it goes back in here. You know how much butter you save by doing that? It's amazing. So I want us to start being really creative, and to know that you are more than capable of so many things. Remember what Alice was saying, moving from the city to the country where she couldn't just pop down to the store has changed the way she lives her life. All right, completely. She is less concerned about how she looks, more concerned about helping the person next door. Find that interesting. And so I think what happens is times like this bring out the best and the worst of people. So be prepared for that as well. Be prepared that some people are not going to be able to cope as well as others, and do what you can to help them. Do what you can. Do you understand? When I think about what can I best do to help you guys, I'm hoping that keeping this going will be part of that. I'm hoping that's what you need. And if you need more and different, you need to let me know. Because unless I hear what it is that you need, I will just keep doing what I think you need. By the way, I found it interesting, and I want to mention this. When I phoned up the bank and said, I want to withdraw this amount of money, they sort of said, well, You don't have to, and I going, no, it's not about whether I have to or not. I want to. It's my money. I'd like to pull it up, this amount. And it was interesting. They obviously did not want me pulling out a large sum of money. And in case you're worried and thinking about coming to my house and checking under my mattress, it is not there. So, to me, we can get through this together if we want to. I'm beginning, I was getting ready to do the broadcast today, and I was thinking, what is that blue thing? Oh, yeah, it's the lid to my, okay, got it. I was thinking to myself this morning, for those of us who are retired, if you think about it, life's not going to change that much. We were already on a limited budget. We were already downsizing. We were already doing a lot of those sort of things. For those people who are on disability, Jody, have you noticed much of a change? You see, that's what I was thinking. This is a time when some of us are not going to feel a big change at all. I have never had well, no, that's not true. For the longest time, I have not got my happiness from other people. I have got my happiness from things I do for myself and for you. All right. So when I think about it, my happiness is not linked to going out to coffee with my friends. My happiness is doing things constructively. And I was thinking, I can still grow the garden. I can still order plants in. I'm certain I can find plants that somebody's going to be willing to deliver. You see, it's just about how we do it is going to change. And so I think it's up to us to keep the mentality we need to survive. If you're feeling down on yourself, you might want to pick up, and Jody, I would really like us to suss out some books of the guys who survived in concentration camps and how they did it. Because I think some people may want to spend some time reading those books to see, what austerity really looks like. Yeah, Jody's saying, to be honest, not a big change whatsoever. Just more stocking up with food and building the pantry. Yes. So what you're doing is proactive, but your day-to-day life hasn't changed. Mine hasn't either so far, except I'm not going out as much. And if I walk in the neighborhood, I am not getting as close to people as I did. I'm keeping one side of the road and they keep on the other. But I still talk to them. Yeah, because I think, two things. There've got to be some great stories of people who lived through the Depression. I'm thinking the Dust Bowl era, Jody, when people were out on farms that got totally wiped out, you know what I mean? And they had nothing. And so to me, people survived. You're either going to get a survivor mentality or you're going to end up feeling very depressed. And, you don't have to if you don't want to. And so my whole thing is to understand that you are responsible for your mental health, right? If you're not doing things to keep your mental health upbeat, then that is on you. If you are not keeping your mind busy and away from the news, that is on you, right? So sit down and knit and crochet or do art or do whatever. And if your mind starts to concentrate on what is going on in the world, then you are not keeping control of your mind. Your mind is controlling you. That's on you. You need to get control of that. And if you are going, well, I can't stop thinking about it, then, go and do something else. And Jenny's saying, tell yourself and others what you are grateful for. Yes, I would keep a grateful journal. All All right, this is what I'm grateful for. As I say to you guys, every single day I woke up and I go, that's a good start, Sal. I'm really grateful for that. My next thing is I managed to get out of bed. Getting out of bed is becoming more and more difficult for me. I know that's probably surprising to some of you, but because I've lost a lot of my core strength, literally getting out of bed is a challenge some mornings. So when I make it out of bed and I'm standing upright, I go, oh, that's good. I managed it another day. That's good. And then, I do everything in little things, did I get up and I call it my squeaky time, did I get squeaky clean? That's good. Another step forward. All right. And did I unpack a box or two? That's good. And I keep telling myself, that's good. Then I go out to the Worm Motel. Did anybody not see the Worm Motel thing? And I go out to the Worm Motel and I talk to the worms, and I am now halfway along that second tier of my tiered back garden, and I've already started filling up the tubs for the front. So I'm spending time outside and talking to plants and the weeds. Hello, weed. It's time for you to go. Goodbye, weed. And then guess what? It goes into a tub, and I take the tub and I'm putting it into a black bag, and that is going to be compost come 6 months from now. All right, so Isabel's saying, I stopped watching news, only the press point, and I shut my radio that was open 24/7 and listening to relaxing music to fall asleep or a broadcast. Exactly. That's taking control of your life, Isabel. That, that's emotionally intelligent. All right? That is emotionally intelligent, to control the amount of negativity coming in. If all you listen to is the bad stuff, how will you balance? You're bound to get depressed. Right. See, Janie's got that mentality as well. I fell over a little extra rug recently and scraped my knee and said to myself, thank goodness I didn't break anything. Absolutely. Hi, Chip. Good to see you and welcome back. So to me, this is like, you are responsible for your mental health, not anybody else. Keep taking steps to stay distracted from what's going on. All right. And most of all, if I can say one thing above all else, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hoping that you will survive this and plan for it. All right? Keep hoping that everybody that you know stays safe. It's unlikely, but hope for it. You see, when we keep hope alive, we will survive. So keep hoping for the best. Keep distracting your mind. Don't let it have too much. By the way, if every time you talk to your friend Bob, he does nothing but put you on a downer, limit the time you spend with Bob. Yeah, Jeannie's saying, hope is a thing with feathers. Emily Dickinson, yes. So, it is really important for us to see that we are responsible. Isabel's saying, yes, I have no choice because I had anxiety at some point in the night. And being difficult to breathe. Yeah. So here's the thing, Isabel. You do know that it is impossible to have an anxiety attack while you are counting. Did you know that? All right. This is you see, anxiety is when you're not in the present. Anxiety is when you're either looking into the future, or depression is 9 times out of 10 when you're looking back. But, it's about anxiety, 9 times out of 10 is about what you think might happen. Well, Let me make it really easy for you. Don't worry about it because you might not get there. All right? So, it's like, let me enjoy today. If you knew this was the last day you had on the planet, what would you be doing? And do it. You have my permission. All right? And because if you live, I literally, when I finish the broadcast, I'm going, okay, fine. I've got this many hours until the next broadcast. What do I want to do with it? Sometimes I will choose to have a nap. I'm going to be going out, talk to the worm farm, see how the guests are doing. But I will spend a bit of time outside so I get some fresh air, and then I will see what else. I've got one little area of my living room that I'm working on at the moment. I'm trying to capture all the leads and things into a more controlled area, if you like. And it's quite a job. I've been at it for 2 days now. All right, so Jody, of course, is telling me it's time to do a countdown, so let's do that. And we will be back tonight. Jody's got some nice things that are going to make us smile. She's got those ready for us already, so thank you for that, Jody. All right, so Valentine's Day is 10 months and 16 days away, people. Christmas is 265 days away. Think about it. Christmas could be very difficult. Why? Because we have got this going on now. I think we will probably get an okay to go outside and be normal for the summer. But then in the fall, there's a very strong possibility that this will come back. And so be prepared for that. Be prepared for us to get a second wave of this. So why am I talking about that and Christmas? Because you may want to think about starting to do or make your Christmas presents now, so that you don't get stressed out when you can't afford them come Christmas. Start making your Christmas cards. Maybe do handmade Christmas cards this year. I'm still trying to find the leads for my, I have a silhouette die cutter. I'm still trying to find the leads for it. Maria's saying, thank you for being here for us. I truly appreciate it. You know something? It is literally my pleasure. And I'm hoping that these little things that I talk to you about sort of make you think. I'm not saying do them. If they make you think one step better, that's really important. Thank you, Isabel, for saying the same. All right, you've got 8 months to get those Christmas cards in the mail for overseas. The US, you've got 7 months and 27 days until Thanksgiving. But here is my thing. Maybe you start working to have a meal with your friends virtually. All right? Practice doing that now. So if you have to do it for Thanksgiving, it won't be a big deal. All right? Why would there be a second wave of the virus? Because it won't die down completely. Until they get a vaccine, Nyasha, it won't die down completely. So, it could come back on a second hit. So be prepared for that. Yeah. So Thanksgiving for Canadians, we've only got 6 months because ours is earlier, as you know. How are you doing on your taxes? Spend some time doing your taxes. You've got 3 months left for if you're in the States, and 3 months and 2 weeks. But here is the thing. Here is the thing. Any minute now, you are going to say, wow, I had all that time and I didn't even do my taxes. And I'm saying, think about it now. We've got 77 days until the summer. Yay. By the way, Canada, we've only got 1 month and 29 days until our taxes, so we need to get up there. Easter is just a week away. All right, it'll be next Sunday. Well, actually, this time next week will be Good Friday. Am I correct on that, Jody? Right, so Jeannie's saying they've already got their federal refund back again. Yes, so you were ahead of the game getting your taxes in. Well done. And for those of you who are keeping track, I have now lived in the house for 2 months, coming up 3 months already. Can you believe that? And I am slowly getting there. And when I say slowly getting there, I took one day this week, I was getting so fed up with what was happening in my craft room that I took like 2 hours just to tidy everything up again. Because what I noticed is every room is getting really untidy again because I haven't put things away. And what I realize is I need to get things back into boxes until I put them away. Because having them out on the table for a week or two, you end up just leaving them there and it looks like a mess. So I'm going to start putting some things back into boxes and just keep the lid off the box, because then I can, work on getting it clean. However, you will see that we've got some progress that way. So that way. Yep, there we go. We've got some progress here of things that I've unpacked. So we're getting there slowly. I'm quite excited. I'm not quite sure when they will arrive, but I have now ordered special bags for growing potatoes and carrots. They're bags that you can open them up so you can see how big the carrots or how big the potatoes are. And if they're not big enough, you can close it again. It's very exciting. All right, so Jeannie is saying, sad about Easter, right? Palm Sunday coming up, but no communion. Live streaming or mass on TV. Yes, be grateful for that. And, everything that I believe in says to me that God knows what's going on. And, he understands why you haven't taken communion. It's you're not, I don't believe you're going to end up in hell because of it. And Yasha's saying, I decided to make, because there aren't any left in our stores, and I wanted some, but okay, what have you decided to make? Oh, you made ice cream. Oh, hang on a second, Mama Sal, I've learned to make ice cream today. I saw the recipe online. I decided to create my, well done. I have never made ice cream. How did you do it? Yeah, so literally you just sort of open up a trap door. It's a bit like with a composter, you can open it up and see if it's composted enough, and then you can close it again. Well, this is the same sort of idea, but so I'm really excited about that. Yeah. So, Jeannie, a lot of us are going to have changes. For those of you who are Catholic, it's going to be very difficult because it's probably the first time in your life that you're going to miss, going to church for Easter. And, from that perspective, I really want you to learn forgiveness. There are ways, you can still attend the services, they will be online, but you just won't be able to take communion. But I think you can take communion in your mind if you want to. You see, an awful lot of Catholics were prisoners of war, and they kept their faith. And they imagined, being fed the wafer. They imagined taking a sip of the wine. So, I look at it and go, there are so many wonderful ways that we can do this. So please remember what I keep saying to you all. Concentrate on what you can do. Concentrate on what you can do, not on what you can't. If you're feeling depressed, go, okay, what one shelf can I tidy up to show myself that I have control of my brain? Right? What one drawer can I empty? By the way, I sent Jody a picture. I was getting really frustrated with something going on in my bedroom, and I took all the I've got those cubey things in my bedroom, 2 big ones. They are 24 cubies in one unit, and I have 2 of them. I took 24 of those cubies and I hucked them onto my bed just so that I could work out what was in them, because I realized what I had done when I was moving the very last sort of days. I was hucking anything into them just so that they would go with me and end up in my bedroom. But my problem was I hadn't the foggiest idea what was in them. I knew what was at the bottom of them, but I didn't know what was on that top layer where I filled them up. And amazing the things I found. So, more than anything, work on what you can do. By the way, I am really thoroughly enjoying reading to the girls every week. As you know, I do bedtime stories with them, but I also teach them at the same time. And I'm pretty certain that even after all this is over, I will continue to do that. Because it really is, I realize it really is a magical time. And the girls seem to really enjoy it. And I just love it that they, every week they show me what they've been up to because I asked for that. So I get pictures and I get, funny things. Judy did something this week with them that I'm not going to ask them to repeat, but they had all of them with their own phones on the screen with me, and it was really distracting. I find it much easier when they're all in front of me and I can talk to them. All right, Niasha's saying on the recipe it called for canned evaporated milk. Got that. I used a box version. It's also called gelatin. Yes. Use Jello powder instead. Yes, very clever. So you use Jello powder instead of gelatin, which is the same thing. Jello powder is just flavored gelatin. Well done. I used a hand mixer to beat it until slightly creamy. Hi, Rinsky. Good to see you. How's the lettuce growing? Growing beautifully. Look at this. If you look at the beginning of this video, you'll see quite a lot of the vegetables. So to me, we are all capable of doing so much at this time. And I have one moment of my day where I go, who do I need to contact today? All right. I'm trying to get a list together of people that I know and care about and keep reminding them that I care. So I would have this list of questions, what do I need to learn today? Or what do I want to make time to learn today? Niasha decided to make ice cream. send me the recipe, Niasha. By the way, just because we're isolated doesn't mean that we have to eat these packaged foods and things. I really am trying to take more time to cook some really nice meals for myself. And last night I had lamb pucks. In other words, they were like little pucks of lamb, like meatball size. And I had the croquette potatoes, and I had grilled Brussels sprouts and gravy and mint sauce. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. All right, so Yasha said, then he added essence and sugar, then continued to thicken it, and then I placed the ice cream mix into a small container and placed that in a bucket surrounded by ice and salt and mixed it again until it was thick. I'm surprised it worked. Wow. Yes. So isn't that exciting? I'll have to look up a recipe online and make some myself. Yeah. So you see, that's how they used to do it. Some of you are going to learn how to make your own butter from milk. Some of you are going to do that. Some of you are going to learn to make your own cheese, which is way easier than you think. right? Think about that. Making your own cheese is way easier than you think. If you want to make mozzarella, I think I'm correct in saying it literally, you got to check out the videos, but I think you literally take milk and you boil it, and then you throw in some vinegar, I think, and then that will separate it. And you've got curds on one side and you've got mozzarella on the other. Homemade buttermilk. Yeah. So all these sort of things, we will start to relearn. And we will never lose that skill once we've got it. So I'm hoping that you've learned something today. What did you find most interesting for you today? Just so that I get an idea. And if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave your comments below of what else you'd like me to talk about, if there's anything, because, if you give me the subjects, 9 times out of 10, I'll find a way to talk about them. Okay, so then the vinegar foams the curds and then you stretch them and then tie them in knots. I mean, I've got to look at that. Wow, you see, Niasha saying what I did was to mimic an old ice cream can from the olden days, like my parents used to have. Yeah. And if you're lucky enough to have parents that remember how to make ice cream from scratch, it'd be a good idea. So Jody's saying, I love the air freshener with the syringe. I want to tell you, Jody, it really works. And they're not all as difficult as this one. But there we go. So that will, you save a fortune with that. I really do love freshness in my house. So very simple, right? So I'll just put that back together again so that it works. There we go. And most of them, they will come apart. There we go. It's all done. And simple. All right, everybody. So have a wonderful day. I'll see some of you this evening when we will smile again. Jody, thank you for all the prep and have a wonderful birthday afternoon. Actually, it's already done for you. And Isabel saying she enjoys my joy and tricks. I really don't put it on, Isabel. It is how I feel, right? I feel blessed, to be alive because so many people are not going to survive this. And I'm really happy for each day. Jody's saying, my continued amusement at your ability to sidestep the one-use product. I have a personal vendetta against built-in obsolescence. And what that means is that you think I'm going to rebuy a special thing of that. What they do is they sell you the base, and then you've got to keep rebuying the special stuff to go in the base. I don't do that well, right? This is called, that's what the new base looks like. Thank you very much indeed. Now I will spend time working out how to mess with their thinking that I am going to keep buying the stuff they want me to. Thank you very much. I will go to the dollar store and spend $1. Spend another $1 on the syringe, and now I've got enough to keep me going for 5 years. All right, everybody. Thank you for your time, and thank you for caring enough about one another to be here and support one another. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, look after one another, but please remember you are responsible for your own mental health. Don't forget that. Bye-bye for now. Bye.